Want to know this week, so you accomplished your first goal. You had a clean game with the team for the most part, just 3 penalties. Can you talk about the first game for FAU and what your hopes are for upcoming week?
Yeah, first of all, I want to send our thoughts and prayers to the Price family. I know Terry Price was honored today in College Station, and his son Devin plays for us, and his wife Kenya was here in Boca Raton, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows, you know, how much we're thinking about the Price family as well as the Wester family. They lost a loved one in a car accident last night, and, so we had 3 of our players dealing with a death in the family today. So, but I thought the way we started. I was really happy with. I felt like we had taken the last 9 months and really applied everything that we've been teaching and everything that the young men have learned, and then you know, I felt like the last 2 drives really they were 5 and 7 drives. The last 2 drives of the first half. You know, we can't convert on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 on offense, and then we give up a 2-minute drive as a for a touchdown. And I told the team at halftime, you know, this isn't last year, and you get up 28-7 at home. You know, you metaphorically, you firmly got your hands around the throat and you're squeezing. And what we did there to end the half, we relaxed. And when you relax on a good football team, regardless of where they're from or what conference they're in, you give them life, you give them the ability to breathe, they're going to breathe. And now you got to start all over again. And that's what we did in the 3rd quarter, and was happy with the way we responded in the 3rd quarter. And then as the game was kind of decided there in the 4th, though, we've got to do a better job when we get our rotational players in there of you know, finishing games out. So I do believe in the old adage of, you know, getting better. I haven't done this over 25 years, and now my 8th year as a head coach. It is true, you know, very infrequently our old adage is true, but this one is, in terms of, you know, teams getting better from week 1 to week 2, and you just can't simulate, you know, the 4 hours that we went through tonight. And so we've got a lot of film that we can learn from, and there's no doubt in my mind that our guys will be better for having gone through kind of a bit of a roller coaster of a game like this. And was I disappointed that we weren't able to really, for lack of a better term, choke another team out? Yeah, I was disappointed in that, but also not surprised. Takes a long time to learn that skill, a long time, and we got a taste of it tonight of what it's not supposed to feel like, and we can use that to really then teach moving forward.
Casey threw 5 touchdowns, close to 300 yards. How would you sort of assess his performance in his FAU debut?
Good. I thought the most impressive thing was, you know, the way he came back after throwing the pick. You know, that's a play he's probably been running since he was 8 years old, and you know, it's old as the hills, as we say, and they jumped into a coverage that they hadn't shown all night, and he got caught off guard, and he knew it, and he goes right out and throws a strike to Tony Johnson for a 75-yard touchdown. So I think that's what you're getting with Casey. Is he going to make a mistake or two? Certainly, every kid does, but he's played so much football that he understands how long the game is. He understands that one mistake is not unrecoverable from, and you know, he learned from it and flushed it. And I thought he played, you know, other than that, and he missed a hot throw one time in the game too that cost us. But you know, to have, you know, 2 missed reads out of the amount of snaps that he played, I think he played, other than those couple snaps, you know, really well for us.
Coach, you know, there were some ups and downs on the defense, but the defense did a pretty good job of limiting their best rusher, James Sheridan, to 66 yards. How would you describe their overall came to like limiting the running game?
Yeah, the run defense was impressive. I mean, that's a team that, I mean, like I said, I don't care what conference they're in, what level they play at, but when you jog the nation's leading rusher in an 11-game season, you know, that certainly had our ears perked up the entire couple weeks of preparation, and I thought our defense responded well into, you know, hemming him into not just the 66 total yards net, but 2.8 a carry. You know, they tried to give him the ball, they tried to feed him, and we did a really good job. You know, long enough 22, a couple missed tackles on that one, but to hold the nation's leading rusher to 2.8 yards a carry, that's a pretty good day at the office.
Hey, Coach, let's talk about the performance of Larry McCammon, the guy.
What is Motor City Mad Mount?
Yeah.
You from Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you're a Mad Mount?
Well, I trademarked it.
Okay.
That's what my on-air name is, but I'm glad you noticed it. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
the
you got it.
acknowledgement. Thank you. So let's talk about Larry McCammon. Now you got me on the thought here. Great game, not only in the ground, but what he also was able to do, as well as in the, you know, passing game. You know,
And that's what Larry brings you. You know, Larry was second highest vote getter in terms of captains.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good player. He's got great body control, really good vision. I thought he was a little impatient in the run game tonight. I'll see a little bit more on film when we weren't able to get the run game going quite as much. And I know you look, he had 125 yards, but felt like, you know, a lot of those yards were on a couple of different carries, and, you know, we put the ball on the ground going in the end zone. You know, he'll beat himself up a lot for that too. But I thought Larry showed kind of everybody what we've seen for 9 months, which is he's an all-purpose guy. He can catch, he can block, he can certainly run between the tackles. When you get him on the perimeter, he can make guys miss or run over them. You know, we're going to need Kobe back. You know, that was quite a workload for both those, him and Zoo. That's 28 carries combined. So we'll be better off when we have Kobe, you know, to be able to rotate all three of them. But I thought Larry really, really showed, you know, all facets of his ability level tonight.
Coach, can you talk about the leadership of this team? Obviously, a lot of changes. You keep talking about the last 9 months. When did you really know who the leaders were and how they bought in? And not just bought in, but they basically brought everyone along with them in the practice field. And obviously it showed tonight in an impressive win. So can you talk about, you know, 1 or 2 guys who were like, wow, as soon as I got here, I knew this guy was all in?
Yeah, I would say Federico probably fits that bill of, you know, immediate buy-in. Chaz Neal, I think, would fall into that category. Armani Adams, you know, we'll see the extent of his injury, but, you know, the usual suspects, if you will, you know, the captains and guys on our leadership committee. You know, the old guys are tired of 5 wins a year, and I think they were very willing and eager to try new things. And now there's other guys that weren't, and you know, a little resistive to change and discipline and selflessness instead of selfishness. And we've either converted or gotten rid of most of those guys, but there's still a few, and we'll either convert them or get rid of those too. But for the most part, I think, you know, with those older guys leading the way and you know, the frustration of the last few years, I think it was a pretty easy sell, because it's fact. You keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. And I think those guys especially really understood the necessity for change.
Coach, I'm wondering, is this kind of like almost the perfect first game in that you did enough to win easy, but you have enough to go back and kind of critique and say, hey, we need to beat that?
Don't tell anybody. Yes, yeah, I think perfect would have been 77-0. But I think in terms of the way, in your context, in terms of the ability to come away with a significant margin of victory, but still have so many things that you can improve on and be able to coach hard about. It's a lot easier to coach hard when you win. You know, you got to play psychologist a little bit when you don't, you know, and when you win, it gives you the ability to coach them hard and make them understand that winning isn't enough. And I don't mean that by the amount or the score or whatever. It's the way that you win. And as we've already talked about, you know, I think there's plenty of teachable moments in terms of the roller coaster ride a little bit that we were on tonight. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot to be happy about too. Like we said, we held the nation's leading rusher to 2.8 a carry. We had 5 touchdown passes, had almost 500 yards and 42 points. So I'm not certainly down in the dumps, but you know, as a coach, I look at 3 and 9 on third down, 0 of 2 on, well, the second fourth down was just, we were getting the game over with, but the 1 fourth down was disappointing, and then just, we didn't run the ball well when we had to, and we didn't play the deep balls well at corner. I mean, there's a laundry list of things to improve on, but you are right in terms of the psychology of a team. We did enough to win and win decidedly, but we also know we left a lot out there too, and we've got a lot to coach off of.
Well, Jaquan Burger and Tony John grabbed a pair of touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, which are both career highs for those two. How much does that speak to the jumps they have made in their respective games?
Yeah, I've been telling anybody that'll listen, I think our 3 starting wideouts are really good, and we got to keep finding number 4, 5, and 6, because or else we're going to run those guys to pegs over a 14-game season. So, but having those guys perform the way that they did, I think says a lot to their A, ability level, but B, their willingness to do some dirty work too. I saw those guys making some key blocks in the run game, key blocks downfield when guys were out there in the open field. So really, really happy, not just for those guys individually, but more so for the future of that side of the ball. I think, you know, if we can get a couple guys to take the load off them from time to time, you know, we've got a chance to be pretty damn balanced up there.
Coach, I know you've acknowledged where I'm from. I know where you used to coach on the other side of Iowa State, but now I got the Ohio Bobcats coming in next week. So what is it you're going to take away from this game that will help you make things a little bit easier for yourself and better?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's one of the country's best quarterbacks. You know, he's a really, really good player. We watched him in the summertime and doing some of our off-season scouting, and really, really good player. Obviously, you know, their game against San Diego State, you could feel when he went out, they were a different team. And so, you asked what we need to do. Obviously, we need to play more consistent throughout 4 quarters, just overall. But I think, you know, we've also got to be prepared for a much better opponent, you know, deeper opponent to come in here, and when the quality of opponent obviously goes up, then the quality of your play has to match that. And so we've got to find a way here in the next 5 days to get a lot better to be able to compete with them.
Coach, the up-tempo offense along with the no-huddle offense looked very crisp tonight for a week 1 matchup. What does that say about the preparation of Casey and the offense as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, and I don't mean to poo-poo the question. I would hope, I mean, that's kind of standard for us. You know, we're gonna vary our tempo. We're not gonna live at warp speed. You know, I don't, offense, defense, special teams, they're not mutually exclusive. You gotta play the game. manage the game the way that the game dictates to be managed, but I thought when we did step on the gas a little bit, it paid dividends, and so, you know, that's like you said, you gotta have a game manager back there doing it too, and I thought Casey did a really good job of managing the game from that standpoint.
Do you have any status updates on Eli Adams at the moment?
No, I know it was a head, neck. Obviously, he was moving everything and wide-eyed and all that. So I would imagine we'll know more here tomorrow. You know, in the next day or two.
Coach, I know it's early, but you kept talking about the 9 months, and you've only played 1 game. But all the hard work, and the guys saw what it was on the field. When you walked into that locker room, did you sense a kind of relief, or hey, this is not the same team, this is not last year? You know, the confidence, the swag. I mean, you got to play this game with confidence. Did you sense that when you went in there, or it's 1 game, let's enjoy it, but let's move on? Do you sense a difference in their attitude from this win? Because everything you've told them seemed to work perfectly in this game.
I do. And that's a testament to the leaders, it's a testament to our assistant coaches, our strength staff. But yeah, I think a lot of the veterans have expressed to me how different things feel. And I think maybe the most gratifying sense that I get from this team is that they're not satisfied. You know, I get the feeling, I wasn't here last year, so I can't speak to it, but I get the feeling that a lot of these guys would be elated with tonight. And I think we're happy we won, but I think most of that locker room understands that 500 yards and all that stuff and 5 touchdown passes is all good. It's all good. I don't want to take anything away, but they also, there's a level of dissatisfaction in that locker room that I think is very healthy. And it's never good enough, and I like that. You know, as Kobe Bryant famously said, you don't rest in the middle, you rest at the end. Exactly. And we're smack dab in the middle, and I think when you break it down from a game standpoint, you know, we learned that lesson, been trying to tell them, but probably just like your kids, if you have kids, or anybody that has kids, they think they know more than you, and they're gonna try it their way first, and they're gonna have to learn the hard way. And I think we learned the hard way there towards the end of the first half that, you know, championship teams find ways to close teams out when you got them on the ropes, and we'll be better at that for not having done that. But to your point, there is a healthy level of dissatisfaction in there, happy with kind of, wow, if, you know, you can parse out parts of the game where I think the guys do, and you say, wow, when we play our best, we're pretty effing good, you know. But I think they also realize that our B or C game, not yet anyways, is not good enough to beat anybody. But our A game, we can probably beat anybody. So, but we got to find ways to play our A game every week and our A game throughout the entire 4 quarters too. And that's a difficult task for any team. But we're good enough. And I keep telling our guys, our best is good enough. You don't have to do anything superhuman against anybody we play. Don't have to hope or wish or pray that they screw it up on the other side. All we got to do is go out and play our best. Play with our greater sense of purpose than our opponent, which is playing for the guy next to you, genuine love for the guy. And we're going to be just fine. We're going to be really good. Now it's my job, it's our job as coaches to keep our thumb on the team to make sure that we get the best out of them, play in, play out, week in, week out.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.